Monday Ramble.
Hi everybody, Tom Bull from Sun Racing back with the latest Monday Ramble. Again, joined this week by the inimitable Chad Yeomans of Bertway to discuss the weekend's action, of which there was plenty of top-class contests, including, of course, the Juddmonte Irish Oaks Group 1 for fillies, won by Even So at 10-1, beating off the hot favourite Cayenne Pepper for Jessie Harrington in second at 2-1, and Passion in third, who produced a big performance. We all thought she probably had one in her after that nice effort at Epsom when she went off like a scalded cat and then stayed on again at the end. And she did produce a nice performance this time. But it was all about Even So for Joe Lyons, who's having a wonderful, wonderful season. That's his second Irish Classic of the campaign so far. Chad, what did you make of the winner, and do you think she's a horse going places?
I did. I mean, I kind of discounted it before the race, if I'm being brutally honest. I thought it was going to be between Ennis Diamond, Passion and Cayenne Pepper. But she travelled through the race, and when Colin Keane gave her a quick smack and asked her to go forward, she picked up, didn't she?
She did, yeah.
And maybe it's just a bit of a coming of age thing. And these fillies improve, don't they, with time? And she's clearly improved. And she, on the day, she was the best horse, and the best horse won, and that's brilliant. Got really good result for a jockey and trainer combination who are literally untouchable at the moment.
They really are, and they're absolutely flying. I was pretty disappointed, though, by Ennis Diamond. I thought that was a really poor effort. She never got out of last place, and I think she's definitely capable of better. I thought of the others, I have to say, before the race, I thought she'd win, because I thought she had the best form, and I think if she had run to her best form, it wouldn't have been a particularly high ceiling to get to, if that makes sense. I don't think Even So is possibly that good, because I'm not a huge fan of Cayenne Pepper. I don't think she's that good, and I'm not sure the strength of the race is that strong. I don't know what you think about that.
I kind of agree. I think because of the way the season's panned out, they've all over-raced, essentially. And I think that's probably the reason for Ennis Diamond's performance. She'd only raced once until mid-second week of June. And then she's come out and won. She's gone to Royal Ascot. She's gone to the Oaks. They're tough races. And even if you run down the field or you win or in a race in a hat canter, it doesn't matter. It still takes out of a horse mentally and physically. And I think that was probably the case yesterday. Probably give her a break now and come back for an autumn campaign. It wasn't that deep. I mean, Le Burnham was fourth, kept on. I'd never heard of Le Burnham before a week ago. So I don't think this was the strongest renewal, as you say. I think Cayenne Pepper will win a race. Whether she's going to be a Group 1 filly and male, got no idea. But
I don't think she'll ever win a Group 1. I've got that feeling. I just don't think she will. She never has now, and I don't think she will. I think she's had her chances. I think that was probably her best chance so far of winning one. Probably better the chance than the Fillies Mile last year. But she just couldn't do it. And Even So, to be fair to Even So, did win by 2 lengths going away. So you can mark that performance up. But I think Jessie Harrington's going to have to work to get a Group 1 win into Cayenne Pepper now.
Yeah.
Shall we move on quickly? Talk about, actually, one thing I have to mention is the brilliant Barry Orr, who was on our Irish Oaks preview last week, tipped up Laws of Indices at 66-1 to win the Railway Stakes. So big shout out to him. That was a fantastic pick. That was the Group 2 on the card. There was another Group 2 on the card, the Minstrel Stakes, that saw Lancaster House take on Romanised in what did look a bit of a match beforehand. And Romanised kind of laughed in his face a little bit, didn't he? He was quite an impressive winner, lovely turn of foot. We know he's got Group 1 form. Last year, he probably should have been awarded the race that went to Circus Maximus in France. And it was great to see him back producing his best and probably put Lancaster House in his place, didn't he?
Yeah, I always thought Lancaster House was a bit overrated. And the fact that he managed to win a sequence was probably better placement than it was anything else. Romanised to me was the bet. I thought Romanised is a Group 1 horse, albeit probably not consistently a Group 1 horse, but he does have Group 1 form in the book. I thought he ran really well in the Queen Anne last year, and probably should have won if he'd got a clearer run. He's of that level to me, and it was a massive surprise to see him go off 9-4, because I think that he was 9-4, Lancaster House was 10-11. They should have been the other way around.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
Really quick and he outstayed, and it was just a men against boys performance essentially.
It was, and he's going to have a big chance where he goes later in the season in Group 1 company. Moving on now to Newbury, where we have the Hackwood Stakes, the Group 3. Oh, it was great to see the Tin Man run such a big race, wasn't it? I know he couldn't quite do it, but the old boy really does still have the gears. He's won that race before, and he loves it at Newbury, so that was fantastic to see. But he couldn't get a handle on Tabdeed, who I thought produced a really big run, and it was a great training performance from Owen Burrows, because if you look at Tabdeed, he finished second in the handicap last time at Newcastle, and to go up and win a Group 3, I know he was backed as though he did have a really good chance, but it was still a really good performance from the trainer, and he looks a sprinter to follow, doesn't he?
He does indeed, and as you mentioned there, he was very well backed. And he was backed as if he was going to win the race. And he duly did. Looking 2 furlongs out, you'd have suggested that he probably was going to finish 4th or 5th. But with 2 smacks of the whip, came down the near side, click clear, and he put the race to bed within a matter of strides. And I was really, really impressed. Now, he's still quite lightly raced. I still don't know if he's a horse to trust. I don't know if you can set your watch by him, so to speak. Because when you go back through the form, he's beaten Tim Man, who's 8 years old or 7 years old or something. Shine So Bright hasn't won for a long time. And actually then you can dissect the form as it's not the greatest race. Yeah. But you can only beat what you're up against. I'd like to see him do it again. Come out and win again and win with authority again at a similar level before, parting with my hard-earned cash on him. But he certainly looked like he was going the right way yesterday, and that's all you can take on, I guess.
Absolutely. And one I'd like to mention who was finished 4th was Judicial, who we saw win over 6 furlongs in the Chip Chase Stakes. That was a really nice performance and a really good ride. And I think this time, under that penalty, that £3 penalty, he possibly struggled a little bit. But the way he travelled through the race, he was so sweetly going through the race all the way through. And he's the kind of horse, I think, who could be a massive player in something like the Nunthorpe. He's got so much speed and he travels so well that I hope they run him in that race. I don't know if Julie Camacho will, but he'd have to have a big chance in that race, which leads us on quickly, just to talk about Frenetic, who ran yesterday, and Lyons says that she, a 2-year-old, is going to be headed for the Nunthorpe as well. She's obviously going to get a massive waist allowance. She couldn't quite get past Aloha Star, because I think Colin Keane possibly thought he'd seen off the main danger from Aidan O'Brien's stable, and then she just couldn't quite get home in the final stage. She's got so much speed. The drop back to 5 furlongs is going to suit her massively. And Frenetic is a very interesting run in the Nunthorpe. On to other things. We obviously had the John Smith's Cup at York. What did you make of Sinjari?
I quite liked him before the race. I think when we did our preview at the back end of last week, I said you could make a case from every horse, bar one horse. I think I finished 5th, so I think I was right. He travelled sweetly, and he was so far behind. And actually, the way he quickened, cracking ride by Stevie Donner. The way he quickened and the way he then put space and time between him and the next. I thought it was brilliant. Really good performance. And there's probably, provided he doesn't go up too much, I think he was off 95, bit of mileage in that mark. If he only goes up a couple of pounds, £5-6, I think he can win again. Yeah,
I wouldn't disagree with you at all. William Haggis had a wonderful weekend. Winners all over the place, including a very impressive novice stakes victor called My Oberon, who looks like a horse going places as well. He's having a flying time of it. Moss Gill was a very impressive winner impressive. You've got to have in the final strides in the John Smith City Wall Stakes listed contest. There were plenty of really good races this weekend. Others to talk about include, we saw yesterday. We saw at the Curry. We saw Frenetic win at the Curry yesterday. Well, not quite win. And I'm just trying to find out what else we saw actually. What else do we have at the Curry? Yesterday we had Lemister, who won the Kilburn Estate Group 2 Stakes. Now, there was an interesting run in that race from Jessie Harrington. She ran One Voice. You got absolutely no run whatsoever. So if you're going to have a look at that race, that horse for next time, she's definitely got to have a big chance. She was collared in the run, clobbered, couldn't get out of the rail. Shane Foley, absolutely nowhere in the straight, unfortunately. So look out for One Voice next time. But one to talk about is Ali, who beat off Make a Challenge in the Group 2 Sapphire Stakes over 5 furlongs. The drop back from 6 to 5 has clearly worked for this sprinter. Simon Christopher's done a really good job with him, I think. And actually, he was out in the centre of the track, and it was a pretty good performance, I thought.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And his victory in the charge at Sandown a couple of weeks ago, to me, just kind of gave me the impression that he was back on track, because he was a very beautiful 2-year-old, wasn't he?
He was.
He was very smart, very quick, and as you say, the drop back to 5 seems to have helped him. Now, I don't know where they're going to go next. It'd be hard to pinpoint whether they do try and go to the Nunthorpe and try and get all the allowances. I don't know. But he's certainly a sprinter going the right way. You'd rather be on a sprinter who's on the incline than one who isn't, essentially.
Yeah, definitely. And finally, let's just talk about method in the Rose Bowl Stakes back at Newbury on Saturday. We saw how impressive a debut winner he was And he really did produce a fantastic performance, didn't he, in that listed contest, seeing off Mighty Gurkha with the pair 3 1/4 lengths clear. He himself finished 2.5 lengths clear of Mighty Gurkha, and he does look like a really exciting sprinter for the future, doesn't he?
He does indeed, and I know they're saying he'll get a mile, and we quoted him for the Guineas at 20s afterwards. I don't know whether he'll be a Guineas horse. For me, I wouldn't be backing him with counterfeit for a Guineas. I just don't think he's of that level. I think he'll be a good sprinter, but he hasn't beaten much at the moment. He really hasn't beaten a lot. The one to take out the race for me is Richard Fahey's Mere Green.
Okay.
Put up a nice performance on debut down at Newmarket, and then came here on his second start, finished 5th on debut, and then came here into the Group 3, was it? And I just think he travelled okay, was a little bit behind the bridle, but kept going and kept going and kept going. And I like young horses who don't just stop and can keep running and can keep going on. Yeah. That usually tells you they've got a little bit of ability. So I don't think I think it'll be a formality. He'll be able to pick up a maiden next time anyway.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment, definitely. Chad, if I had to name you to pinpoint one horse of the weekend that really caught your eye, or one performance that stays with you, what would you say?
Well, there's 3, if I can go with that.
Okay, lovely.
Monday, who from the preview last week, everyone I was really sweet on in the John Smith's Cup. He drifted out to 14s and won well. I thought he was a really good bet that day, as I said. I thought he's a stair going places. He really is. Now he's with David O'Meara. They'll find plenty of races with up to 2 miles. He'll stay all day, that lad. So I think that horse. And then there was 2 horses in maidens at Newbury on Saturday. Fly Miss Helen, the winner for Richard Hannon. She was phenomenal. She was flicking her ears in the final furlong. She went away. She travelled sweetly. She just looked like a horse who had plenty of ability. And another horse finished about 5th, I believe, in the division before, or the maiden before, the novice stakes, called Rushmore, trained by Betway ambassador Andrew Bodman. Was backed as if defeat was out of the question prior in the evening before on Friday night, and again strong support on Saturday. He wasn't given a hard time whatsoever. It was his first day at school. He carried his head a little bit high. He'll learn from that, and he'll be a really nice horse going forward.
Yeah, he was really well back, wasn't he? I'm going to stick up 2. I'm going to go My Oberon, who I was so impressed with. I thought that was a serious turn of foot he showed, and he was, as Rushmore was, he was really well back beforehand. Yeah. Like victory was out of the question. And the other one is Frenetic, not the most niche of choices, but I think she's got a huge future over sprinting trips, and I would be massively interested in her in the Nunthorpe, or giving that a massive weight allowance, because she's got a huge amount of early pace. So hopefully she can run a big race at York. Chad, thank you so much. Another lovely Monday ramble, and I'll probably see you later in the week, hopefully, to talk about the King George and everything that's going on this weekend. Speak to you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Love it.